Hey everybody, HomeSliceHenry here, and in today's video, we're going to be taking a look at a brand new top meta threat in the Psychic Cup, and that is Bite Bruxish. Bruxish is a water and Psychic type Pokemon with the moveset of Bite, Aqua Tail, and Psychic Fangs. Now, Bruxish is the only eligible Pokemon in the Psychic Cup that can learn the fast move of Bite, and in a meta that has only Psychic types, Bruxish is able to absolutely thrive. So without further ado, let's hop into the matches and check out some practice Psychic Cup battles featuring Bite Bruxish. Hopping to the first match, picking up a pretty decent lead, Cresselia into Defense Deoxys. For the team, I did want a very bulky option on the lead, and Cresselia fits that bill quite well. Cresselia, with its charge moves, unfortunately cannot hit Psychic types for super effective damage, but it's a very bulky pick in a meta that honestly lacks a lot of bulky options, so I do like it in that regard, so I can typically save shields for the Bruxish, which is extremely powerful with shields up, and for the Malamar. And in the back, of course, I am covering for Cresselia's weaknesses. Cresselia doesn't do particularly well against Steel types or against Victini, and both Bruxish and Malamar can cover those weaknesses pretty well. Opponent save switches into Hypno, and now it's time for the star of the show, Bite Bruxish. As you can see, Bite absolutely shreds through Hypno's HP. Hypno farming up. Opponent now going to send in Galarian Rapidash. Due to Rapidash's typing, the Bites only hit for neutral here, but look at this damage. We get off one Psychic Fang, we get off another. Now they are double debuffed, and these Bites are going to absolutely tear the Rapidash to shreds. Rapidash forced to empty their energy. I'm going to shield to make sure that they have to throw a lot of energy here, as they don't want to take any more Bite damage. They're going to be firing off a Body Slam. That's going to KO. I only have Psycho Cuts left to KO them, but since I was able to get those double debuffs onto the Rapidash, I should just be able to farm down here. They're going to fire off the Mega Horn to KO. In comes the Malamar. Malamar Psycho Cuts down the Rapidash before they make a second Mega Horn. Malamar leaves with a foul play. This will easily take care of the Hypno and secure the win. Picking up a tough lead in the next match, Cresselia into Victini. I'm going to immediately save switch into Bite Bruxish, and my opponent responds with a Charm Gallade. Charms tearing through Bruxish. Bruxish not the tankiest, but even so, I will be able to force a shield from the Shadow Gallade, which is quite nice. And now I can send in Cresselia, tank whatever they throw, and honestly commit to a hyper-aggressive Psycho Cut farm down. This is one of the reasons why I do like Cresselia, as Cresselia able to tank a move and a bunch of charms, and now I leave with a big energy lead over Victini. In comes Victini. I'm going to fire off the Moonblast just to get some chip damage, and then it's Malamar time. In comes Malamar. Malamar farming up. Opponent tries to go for the CMP tie, but I end up going for the extra. V-Create is going to get the shield in the back. They have a great League Metagross. Opponent employing the anti-Gardevoir tech, but unfortunately, I do not have Gardevoir on my team. Foul play, not quite enough to KO, but I believe if I Psycho Cut down, I should be able to win this. Malamar gets the double resistant Psycho Cut down and leaves with the back-to-back foul plays. Foul play number 1 gets the shield, and foul play number 2 is going to get the KO. You love to see it, and that's a good game. We've got a tough lead in the next match, Cresselia into Bronzong. I'm going to save switch into Bruxish, and we are both hitting each other for super effective damage here. The Bites adding up on the Bronzong, but the feint attacks are adding up on the Bruxish. They fire off a Heavy Slam. I will commit a shield, and I'm actually going to go for the Psychic Fangs here. I'm expecting my opponent is going to shield. Psychic Fangs gets no shielded. What a great read, as my opponent chooses to save the shield, and now I'm down a shield. My opponent now going to send in Galarian Rapidash. Rapidash gets the farm down, and this is rapidly turning into a disaster on my end. As unfortunately, Rapidash with shield advantage and an energy lead is incredibly powerful versus my team. I'm going to fire off a Grass Knot here, trying to get some damage onto the Rapidash. Rapidash is going to commit a shield. Crest continues to farm. Rapidash firing off another move here. Rapidash goes for the Body Slam. Body Slam KOs Cresselia. My opponent has their own Bruxish, and I'm going to fire off this Foul Play. Foul Play will do a lot of damage, getting the Bruxish low. Malamar gets the farm down. Back in comes the Rapidash. This is going to be tough. I'm going to shield, hoping they full send the Mega Horn, but they bait with a Body Slam, and that's going to be game over here, as they will make the Mega Horn double super effective damage, takes out the Malamar, and that's a good game. Moving into the next match, we've got a neutral lead, Cresselia versus Raichu. I'm going to stay in this matchup to start with Cresselia, because Cresselia can tank any one move from the Raichu, which is quite nice. Raichu is going to farm up, fire off a charge move, they go for the Thunder Punch, and Cress is going to let that through. Cress returning fire with the Grass Knot. Grass Knot, of course, not going to be enough to KO. Raichu going to let that through. Farming up, opponent makes it to another move. I'm going to call the Thunder Punch here. They need to Wild Charge to KO, and they do. But now I can send in Bruxish and bite all the way down. Opponent going to send in a Gardevoir, and this is not looking good for me as I have Malamar in the back. I'm going to fire off Psychic Fangs here. Psychic Fangs gets no shielded, and that's actually good, as now I can hopefully Psycho Cut down. In the back, my opponent has their own Malamar, and I do have an energy lead in this matchup, and I am not in a range where a foul play will KO. So despite the fact that they had a backline Gardevoir, I may actually be okay here. Foul play is going to land. Thankfully, I'm not in a range where I can be Psycho Cut farm down. I'm firing off the foul play. This is not going to KO either. Foul play gets no shielded. Opponent basically banking on the fact that I cannot Psycho Cut down. But as you're going to see, I should be able to. This is going to be very close though. Psycho Cut doing absolutely no damage. I will commit the final shield here. My opponent still does have the Gardevoir. It gets KO'd by a Psycho Cut. I Psycho Cut down Malamar, and that's game over. Decent lead in the next match, Cresselia into Defense Deoxys. Opponent now going to save switch into a Xatu. Xatu, bit of an interesting pick, does have access to Ominous Wind, which can of course hit for super effective damage. I'm going to stay in here, wait for them to go for the Ominous Wind, because I can tank it pretty safely on Cresselia, and then I can send in Malamar. Malamar going to be going for the foul play right off the bat. They're down a shield, I want to keep applying that pressure. Xatu is going to get KO'd. We'll have to see, are they going to bring back in that Defense Deoxys, or do we see the third? They're going to send in the Deoxys, and I'm going to farm up and fire off the foul play. This foul play definitely going to hurt, even against the bulky Deoxys. Deoxys able to tank that damage. Malamar not going to be able to reach a move. Deoxys will fire off a Thunderbolt. Thunderbolt is going to KO, and now I can just send in Bruxish. These bites are so oppressive. They have a Girafarig in the back. I accidentally throw on terrible timing there, and they're able to get a double kick for free. But just look at the bite damage. This thing just hits incredibly hard into a meta where basically nothing resists it. It's gonna farm down Deoxys and get the win. Moving into the next match, we've got a bit of an interesting lead, Cresselia versus Bruxish. Bruxish, of course, is able to hit for super effective damage with the bites. But the nice thing is, as I mentioned earlier, Cresselia is very tanky. So Cress can tank a lot of bite damage. I'm going to fire off the Grass Knot and grab a shield from Bruxish. Farming up, going for Grass Knot number 2, but the opponent makes a very nice catch, catching it onto Hypno, and Hypno gets the confusion through as well. I'm now going to send in Bruxish. Bruxish does have to be careful of the potential Thunder Punch here, so I will commit the shield. Thunder Punch would hit for super effective damage. Hypno trying to make it to Thunder Punch number 2, but they're not going to get there. Opponent is going to send in their own Bruxish. I'm going to let this through. I resist whatever they throw here. They're going for the Aqua Tail. That does quite a bit of damage. I'm going to go for the Aqua Tail as well. At this point, I'm just going for damage. Aqua Tail is going to land. My opponent is able to bite down my Bruxish, and that is not great, as I do not have a lot of fast move pressure here. So I'm going to farm up and then switch into Cresselia to soak energy. Bruxish farming up. They overfarm too much, and they die with a ton of energy. And because of that, honestly, I think I may actually be able to win here. Things were looking pretty dire. Deoxys looking for the counter down. Cresselia just too tanky. Able to fire off the Moonblast here. Sorry, the Grass Knot here after the Moonblast. And now I can send in Malamar. Malamar should be able to make it 2 back-to-back foul plays here. Foul play number 1 gets the shield. I can safely shield here because if they go for the Thunderbolt, they can't make it to Thunderbolt number 2. And I get to the foul play. This will be lethal onto the Deoxys and secure the win. Alright, moving into the next matches, we've got Cresselia into Galarian Rapidash. Rapidash, of course, does have access to Mega Horn, which will hit for super effective damage, but as we've seen, Cresselia can tank a Mega Horn from the Rapidash. So I'm going to let this through. Rapidash full sends the Mega Horn. That does so much damage. I'm going to fire off the Moonblast here. Moonblast is going to land, getting them low. Rapidash farming up. Rapidash will fire off the Body Slam. I'm going to let this go and try and bite down with Bruxish before they make a move. In comes Bruxish. Rapidash with a sliver of HP able to hang on, and unfortunately, unfortunately, they do make the body slam. Bruxish gets the bite down. We'll have to see opponent gonna send in their own Bruxish, and this is gonna be a pretty common sight, as I'm expecting Bruxish to be a top meta threat in the Psychic Cup. Psychic Fangs gets the shield and the debuff in the back. They have Raichu, and I need to quickly switch out into Malamar. Malamar firing off the foul play here. Foul play should be grabbing the final shield from my opponent. My opponent has a lot of energy here. Do they Thunder Punch? Do they Wild Charge? I shield. It's the Wild Charge. Let's go. And now I'm going to fire off the foul play. This will be lethal. Opponent still does have their Bruxish alive though, and their Bruxish is not yet in the red. Bruxish gonna fire off the Aqua Tail. That gets me low. They get the farm down. Now it's a race. Bite versus Bite, and with 1 HP, I get the win. Moving into the next match, picking up a bit of a tricky lead, Cresselia into Malamar. Malamar, of course, is able to hit for super effective damage with foul play, but Cresselia can return the favor with Moonblast. I'm actually going to go for a Grass Knot bait here. I'm expecting Malamar will commit the shield, so I'm hoping to try and bait with the lower energy Grass Knot. But my opponent reads me like a book, calls the bait, and now I'm in a lot of trouble. Opponent gonna fire off the foul play not quite gonna KO, go for the Moonblast, but I get sniped by an opposing Bruxish. That is so bad. I'm gonna send in my own Bruxish now. Opponent can safely fire off the Psychic Fangs here. Psychic Fangs is gonna KO. I'm gonna send in Malamar, looking for the incredibly aggressive Psycho Cut farm down. I get the farm down at the expense of a decent amount of HP. My opponent sends in their own Malamar. Their Malamar, unfortunately, is not in foul play range yet. I fire off the foul play. They're gonna commit the shield. It looks like they are weak to Malamar in the back. I fire off another foul play. They double shield. They are clearly very weak to Malamar in the back. I will commit the shield. Opponent is going to fire off the superpower ever so slightly cheaper. In the back, they have Victini, and here I make a game-losing mistake. I needed to wait till after they V-created to go for my foul play, because then it would have KO'd, whereas here, unfortunately, it's not going to KO, and my opponent has a move banked on their Malamar. I'm able to farm up, but as you're going to see here, I go for the foul play, it KOs, and unfortunately, I do not have another move. They're going to KO with the superpower, and that's game over. Hopping into the final match, picking up a tough lead, Cresselia into Victini. Thankfully, I have 2 responses in the back, so I'm going to save switch into Bruxish. Opponent now going to respond with Medicham, and this is actually a very uncomfortable matchup for Bruxish. To be fair, I have a pretty terrible IV Bruxish, but even so, Medicham just hits very hard even when resisted. So here, I definitely misplay. I commit a shield. I should have just let it go, because as you're going to see, I get baited. They make a Psychic. I don't want to go down 2 shields, and unfortunately, I lose switch advantage and shield advantage. So I am playing this absolutely terribly. I do get the Psycho Cut farm down with Cresselia. In comes Victini. I'm going to fire off a move. Here, I probably could have Grass Knotted. My goal was just to get them into a range where a foul play will KO. They're definitely in foul play range now. Victini has a lot of energy. They're going to fire off a charge move. They go for the V-Create. I go for the Grass Knot. Lose CMP. I'm hoping that I am going to be able to tank this. V-Create. Cresselia hangs on. Let's go. I can fire off the Grass Knot. Their defense is debuffed. They're going to let the Victini go in the back. They have their own Bruxish. This is going to be very close. I need to make it to 3 foul plays. Malamar should be able to technically make 3 here, but with the debuff from Psychic Fangs, this is going to be close. Psychic Fangs is going to be deployed here. I'm expending the final shield. I need to save every HP that I can. I'm farming up. Now just 2 away from the final foul play. Foul play gets the shield. Malamar able to hang on with a sliver of HP. Foul play will deal the killing blow to Bruxish, and that is a good game. All in all, I do think that Bite Bruxish is a terrific addition to the Psychic Cup meta. Bruxish should be top meta from day one, as it's the only Pokemon in the meta that has access to the fast move of Bite, and as you can see, Bruxish, when it has shields, can absolutely shred thanks to that Bite Psychic Fangs combo. I will say, it's a Pokemon that is definitely checked by the fact that it is on the Glacier end, so you'll want to save shields for it, but with shields or with the shield advantage, Bite Bruxish can wreak absolute havoc on this Psychic Cup meta. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. If you're enjoying the content, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't. And a special thank you, as always, to our members here on YouTube. The support you guys provide is absolutely incredible. So thank you guys oh so very much. And until next time, I've been HomeSliceHenry.